The smell of burnt oil and cold fries filled the air of McLean's Burgers in Houston. Inside the glass-walled boardroom, Nora Bell, a young dietitian, sat nervously as executives praised her resume. They said she'd make their menu healthier, but the contract on the table told a different story. It allowed them to modify her work without approval. Still, she signed. That night, walking home, she froze at a billboard flashing her sample menu, used without credit, under someone else's name. They hadn't hired her to reform the food. They'd hired her to be their cover. The next morning, Nora walked into the office early, her stomach tight but her mind clear. She dreamed of helping people eat better, not selling lies wrapped in lettuce. The staff around her laughed and shared memes about diet food while scooping fries into grease bins. She tucked her meal plans under her arm and told herself she could still change things. But when she opened her new work email, she found marketing drafts promoting Nora Bell's Smart Burgers. It was her idea, but rewritten into something completely fake. She spent the day trying to fix the campaign materials, rewriting slogans, and suggesting small ingredient swaps. The managers brushed her off, saying taste mattered more than truth. They wanted her face for credibility, not her ideas. In meetings, her notes were ignored, and her coworkers whispered about how corporate loved her smile. By lunch, Nora realized no one cared about health. They just wanted to make money from it. When her boss patted her shoulder and said, "Welcome to the food business," it felt like a warning, not a welcome. That weekend, Nora sat in her tiny apartment with takeout boxes stacked beside her. She watched McLean's new ad on TV. Her recipes, fake stats, and her name at the bottom. She felt sick. She called the marketing director, but he dismissed her concerns. "You signed the rights, remember?" he said before hanging up. She realized she was trapped in a contract that gave them control over everything she made. She couldn't quit without paying a huge penalty. For the first time in her career, her ethics and survival were at war. Monday came, and she went to work with quiet rage. She couldn't expose them yet. She had no proof. So, she smiled through the lies, documenting everything in secret. Emails, messages, meeting notes. She saved it all. Late nights became her routine. As the rest of the office celebrated fake healthy burger sales, Nora scrolled through reports showing how they boosted sugar instead of reducing it. Every success they had came from deception, and her name was stamped on every box. Her credibility was being sold for free fries and profit margins. Weeks passed, and Nora's picture appeared on posters across Texas. McLean's, now nutritionist approved. Her inbox filled with hate from real dietitians calling her a sellout. She wanted to scream that she was innocent, but no one would believe her. When she confronted her boss, he smirked and said she should be grateful for the exposure. That night, she sat in the dark cafeteria, staring at her reflection in the vending machine glass. Her dream job had turned into a nightmare of fake promises and stolen work. Something inside her snapped. She decided to fight back quietly. Nora started saving internal reports proving the lies, lab results, invoices, and nutritional breakdowns. She stayed late after hours, pretending to work while copying files to her drive. But one evening, the floor manager walked in unexpectedly. She smiled, pretending to be finishing a presentation, her hands trembling. After he left, she sat still for a long time, realizing how dangerous this could get. McLean's wasn't just careless, they were powerful, and she was just one name on a contract they already owned. Rumors spread that someone was leaking company secrets. The managers tightened surveillance. Nora stopped using her work computer and took notes by hand. One afternoon, she overheard a conversation outside her cubicle. Someone had accused her of tampering with reports. It was a lie, but it confirmed one thing. Someone knew she was digging. She quietly checked her shared folders and found her private drafts accessed by another employee, a senior nutritionist named Carla, who had recently received a promotion using Nora's research. The betrayal made her blood run cold. Nora confronted Carla privately, asking how her private files ended up in corporate presentations. Carla shrugged, saying, "That's how the system works. You're new." It hit Nora then. This wasn't just one person stealing ideas. The entire chain ran on borrowed faces and fake promises. She realized the only way to stop them wasn't to expose one lie, it was to prove the system itself was rotten. She left that meeting without a word, but her silence wasn't fear anymore. It was focus. She was done waiting for permission to do what was right. She compiled her findings into a detailed report and sent it to the corporate compliance office. Days went by with no reply. Instead, her workload increased, and her job title quietly changed from lead nutrition consultant to menu assistant. She was being buried, not heard. Her frustration grew, but so did her determination. She began recording everything: calls, meetings, and memos. Every lie became fuel. Every insult became a reason to keep going. McLean's thought she was small, but they didn't know she had nothing left to lose. One night, Nora's friend Megan, a popular food blogger, visited her apartment. Megan was shocked by the internal data Nora showed her. The sugar levels, the calorie manipulation, it was all hidden behind marketing fluff. Megan suggested publishing it, but Nora refused. She wanted justice, not chaos. Still, Megan posted a vague thread online about fake health menus. Within hours, McLean's PR team was in panic mode. Nora realized the storm had started. For the first time, the company was afraid, but they didn't know who started it yet. The next morning, Nora walked into work to find her desk cleared out. Her access card didn't work. Security escorted her to HR, where she was told she was being temporarily suspended pending review. She wasn't surprised. She had already emailed all her backups to herself. As she packed the last of her things, she glanced around the office. No one met her eyes. Every smile she'd seen weeks ago had turned into silent betrayal. But instead of breaking her, the humiliation steeled her. They thought they'd ended her career. They'd only freed it. Back home, Nora watched the news. McLean's launched a massive campaign celebrating its fit menu as the future of fast food. The same meals she'd designed, altered, diluted, and sold under Carla's name. Reporters called it revolutionary. Customers cheered. But when Nora compared the public recipes to her originals, she realized they'd removed everything healthy. It was all a show. Rage turned into resolve. She couldn't stop their machine from outside, but she could build something better. And she would do it with the same weapon they used against her food. Nora sold her old furniture and used the money to buy a used food truck. She painted it pale green and named it True Bite. Her first day, she parked outside a gym and sold simple, affordable meals made from fresh ingredients. Business was painfully slow. Most people laughed when they saw her small menu. By nightfall, she'd sold just 4 plates, but each customer told her the same thing: it tasted real. That night, she sat in her empty truck, exhausted but hopeful. For the first time, the food matched her values. Word spread slowly. Some gym-goers returned the next day with friends. A few influencers posted photos of her meals. Nora smiled for the first time in weeks. But then she saw something chilling: a McLean's ad promoting a new True Bite burger. They were watching her, stealing again. She couldn't believe the audacity. Instead of backing down, she doubled her efforts, introducing creative recipes no one could fake without exposing themselves. Every dish became a message. Every bite was proof that honesty could compete with marketing lies. 3 months later, a viral TikTok changed everything. A fitness vlogger reviewed her truck, calling it the healthiest fast food in Houston. Overnight, her location tag blew up. By morning, the line stretched around the block. Nora served non-stop for 12 hours. Reporters showed up, then investors. Someone even asked if she wanted to license her name. She didn't trust them. She wanted to grow it herself. That night, she stood in the dark lot, looking at her glowing truck and whispering a promise she'd never let anyone own her work again. McLean's noticed her rising popularity. They launched an aggressive campaign calling her food unsafe and unregulated. But the internet fought back. Customers posted receipts and health reports, proving her ingredients were cleaner than McLean's. She didn't even have to defend herself, her customers did it for her. Sales doubled. By the end of the month, she opened a second truck. People weren't just buying food, they were supporting a cause. For the first time, Nora realized she wasn't just surviving, she was building something unstoppable. One evening, she received a cease and desist letter from McLean's legal department, accusing her of idea theft. The irony made her laugh out loud. They were scared now, but she also knew they were dangerous. She called her lawyer, gathered her documents, and prepared for a fight. Public opinion was shifting, and McLean's was desperate to regain control. She didn't just have recipes now, she had evidence, and she was finally ready to use it. She uploaded the files she'd kept. The fake reports, internal emails, and memos proving years of deception. She didn't say a word, she just posted the truth. Within hours the internet exploded. News outlets picked it up, and regulators announced an investigation into McLean's for false advertising. Nora watched it unfold quietly from her kitchen, stirring soup as anchors debated her name on national TV. She didn't feel revenge, she felt peace. McLean's CEO held a press conference, calling Nora's claims fabricated. But then leaked documents confirmed everything. The company's credibility crumbled overnight. Employees resigned. Stores faced protests. Hashtags demanding accountability trended for days. Nora's tiny brand, TrueBite, became a symbol of honesty. Investors who once ignored her now begged to partner. She agreed to one condition: no shortcuts, no lies, and no compromises. Months later, the government fined McLean's millions for deceptive marketing. Their stock plummeted. Carla, the nutritionist who betrayed her, issued a public apology. Nora didn't respond. She had bigger plans. She rebranded her business as Bell Fuel, focusing on taste-driven, transparent nutrition. Her trucks multiplied across Texas. Employees from McLean's applied to work for her, saying they wanted to do food the right way. She hired them without revenge, only standards. Bell Fuel grew into a national name. Nora appeared on talk shows, sharing her journey, not as a victim but as proof that integrity can win. She never mentioned McLean's by name. She didn't need to. Everyone already knew. Every time a customer thanked her for making healthy food accessible, it reminded her that reform didn't start with outrage. It started with doing better, even when no one believed in you. One day, she drove past an abandoned McLean's location. The signs were faded, the building boarded up. She parked outside and watched kids skateboard in the empty lot. The place that once stole her identity was now a ghost. She smiled softly, not out of triumph, but closure. She'd built something lasting on the ruins of lies. At her newest grand opening, a journalist asked what motivated her after everything she'd been through. Nora thought for a moment before answering. They tried to use my name to sell junk. I just took it back and fed people what they deserved instead. The crowd cheered, but she wasn't performing. It was the truth, simple and quiet, the kind that didn't need marketing. Years later, Bell Fuel expanded nationwide. Nora walked through one of her stores, watching customers enjoy meals designed with care. On one table, a mother showed her child how to read the ingredients label. Nora paused, realizing that's what real reform looked like: awareness, not advertisement. She didn't just fix a menu, she'd changed a mindset. She returned to her office, a small space above the kitchen where it all began. Her old notebook, the one she carried into McLean's that first day, sat framed on her shelf. Its pages were smudged, its corners torn, but every word was hers. She smiled, remembering the fear she once felt signing that contract. She'd thought she was powerless. Now her name meant something honest again. As Bell Fuel reached global recognition, reporters called her the woman who took on fast food and won. But Nora didn't see it as a battle. It was redemption, for herself and for every professional silenced by corporate greed. She often said the victory wasn't in fame or fortune. It was in proving that truth, though slow, always finds a way to win. One rainy evening, Nora visited her first food truck, the original True Bite. It was parked behind her main office now, preserved like a relic. She sat inside for a while, listening to the rain on the roof. This was where it started, her defiance, her hope, her purpose. Everything that followed had grown from this tiny space and a promise she'd made to herself, never trade truth for comfort again. As she stepped outside, she noticed a little girl eating a Bell Fuel wrap on the sidewalk with her mom. The child smiled, saying it was the best lunch ever. Nora felt her throat tighten. She didn't just change a company, she changed what people believed food could be. Her fight had ended long ago, but its impact was still growing. The empire she built wasn't born from revenge, it was built from integrity, one honest bite at a time. If this story of standing for truth and rebuilding from nothing inspired you, consider subscribing for more stories like this.